So now let me get into my theories, and then maybe y'all can brainstorm off of this, because I'm just gonna go off of some quick things that I thought about that maybe you can call it a theory, you can call it speculation, whatever, but I got questions and I got potential answers. Let's go back. First, so this basically is representative of Loki taking all the possibilities, all the universes, and letting them coexist equally. And I thought that this was really dope because I want y'all to like really understand what's happening with Loki thematically, because Loki, he wanted to be king in the very beginning. He always wanted to be king, but he never deserved it. But now that he doesn't want to be king, he ends up that way because he realizes the true burden that comes along with being king. Let me throw something else at y'all, because I told y'all this season 2 loops season 2, but then it loops season 1, but then it also loops all the way to Thor 1, where we first get Loki. Odin would be proud. Why? Because this is actually what Odin was trying to teach Thor from the very beginning. So in other words, Loki learned the lesson that Thor didn't learn and why Thor got banished before. Fun fact, now Loki's actually worthy of lifting Mjolnir. Didn't even catch that, did y'all? Didn't even catch. Loki is now worthy of lifting Mjolnir because he understands the burden of being a leader, of being a king, of being someone that has to preserve others before himself. That was always the key of being worthy, putting others before yourself. Learning that, because that's what Odin wanted Thor to learn. Thor was all about himself. Loki was all about himself. But now Loki's like, nah, man, this ain't about me. It's about everybody else. There you go. Somebody go clip that. Don't let these other channels let you. I know these other channels ain't give you that nugget. I know nobody gave y'all that nugget now. Okay, this is why y'all here. Okay, this is why y'all here. Come on now. Let's go to Ren Slayer. When it came to Ren Slayer, I was under the impression that, like, once again, she dead. It's done for. You going against Goliath. We know that purple light. It's over with. But the moment I saw this TVA thing here, and the moment I saw this Egyptian, temple here, it gives me the impression that there's some possibility that Ramatut or some Kang variant might actually be there. It could be possible that if you had Loki's hiding there in the void, couldn't you have some Kang variants as well? You got TVA stuff that clearly got pruned and they got sent to the void. So I'm wondering, as Renslayer is a very capable individual, is it possible that maybe she teams up with a Kang and does something there? But here's something else. Here's something else. And I want y'all to back up with me on this. Look at Renslayer's face. She looks very determined. And throughout the series, we started to learn more about Renslayer, which is she was always about grabbing power. She was about taking control. She wanted to rule everything with He Who Remains, but he played her to the left, wiped her memory, and she was not able to accomplish that goal. But she ran the TVA, and He Who Remains confessed earlier on that he would not have been able to win the multiversal war without Renslayer. Now, here's my theory. At first, I think because she was running the TVA, I thought, I was under the impression that he was saying, oh, you helped run the TVA and the TVA went out and fought all these battles and stuff for me. Maybe that's what he was talking about. I don't think that was the case. I have the impression that Renslayer is actually the one who tamed Goliath. I don't know how she did it, but I have the belief that she's the one that tamed Goliath, because we do recall that He Who Remains did say that taming Goliath is what basically stopped the multiversal war. So here's the other thing we know. He Who Remains is a whole liar, right? He is a liar, and he has other people fight his battles for him. So I would not be surprised if we find out, first of all, y'all not gonna waste my goo-goo, okay? You're not gonna waste this prime actress by feeding her to the nothingness monster. You're not gonna do that. She gotta come back. And I think she's gonna be the one to tame Goliath and be the equalizer, maybe even in this multiversal war in some way. How she does it, I have no idea. No idea. But I'm thinking right now that she's the one that tamed him. And He Who Remains just stole the credit because, of course, he don't do partners. And that's that. Y'all let me know what you think about that. Do you think it's possible that Renslayer does tame Goliath? Or maybe she doesn't and she just finds a way to escape. Personally, I kind of thought that the other Lokis were going to show up, but, whatever. Y'all let me know what you think about that theory. Here's another one. When you go back to Loki and He Who Remains' conversation, when He Who Remains was talking to him and was basically saying that, like, he wanted to ask him an important question, and he asked Loki, is this the first time we've had this conversation? Or I'm sorry, he said, this isn't the first time we've had this conversation, is it? Now, what's interesting about that question is, and I think this answers some of y'all questions too, this implies one flaw in He Who Remains' plan. He can be susceptible to Loki's time control. So again, we've learned that Loki is learning how to do different things similar to He Who Remains. Now, what is interesting here is the fact that when we saw He Who Remains do certain things, whether it was pausing time, whether it was rewinding, going back or whatever, he always had to use his temp pad. Loki ain't got no temp pad. Loki's doing this stuff because he just learned how to do it. Probably because he's a god, probably because it's magic, whatever. But Loki can do this stuff internally. He doesn't need a temp pad the way He Who Remains does. So I'm just kind of wondering if He Who Remains might have miscalculated what Loki's actually capable of. The moment Loki changed the equation, I think that right there proved that it was part of He Who Remains' plan to groom Loki into this position. That was his plan. But I don't think he accounted for Loki making the sacrifice play. That's the part where I don't think he really thought was going to be the case. Even though it's kind of weird because you still have to deal with the idea of he was grooming him and he selected him to replace him. So anyway, I say all of that because is it possible that He Who Remains had this all according to his plan? Maybe. But we also saw that he had the backup plan with the loom. And Loki went through all these lengths thinking he was in control, but it was always He Who Remains. And he had a failsafe. And then we also know that He Who Remains don't fight his own battles. So I'm wondering, is it possible that He Who Remains, he's tired and he just wants some rest? Maybe he allowed Loki to take over, make Loki think that it was Loki's plan all along. And guess what's going to happen? Loki's about to fight that battle that He Who Remains probably don't want to fight. And he ready to fight it. He tried to tell him like, oh man, my variants are coming. Loki don't care. And he's like, all right, cool. So I'm just wondering, this could be part of He Who Remains' plan to take a break. He said he was tired. He said he needed a vacation. And there's only one person that can really do it for him. That'd be Loki. Maybe. So I don't know. It's a wild theory. Whatever. Let me just throw one last thing at y'all. One last thing. Because we know now that Loki is in control of all of time, right? And we know that time is not linear. Time is, circular in this case. And you saw Loki imbue his powers into the timelines, right? Maybe he gave it life. Maybe he changed things. We don't know. Maybe he's the god of stories. We don't exactly know what charging up those timelines actually means. But I want y'all to think about this. In Ant-Man Quantumania, we just got the one connection with this show that, yes, they defeated Kang and all that. They acknowledged the events of Ant-Man. Loki is outside of time, but Loki has now restructured what is now the new sacred timeline, which means Loki has already affected not only the present and the future, but he's also affected the past too. Go back to I'm sorry that y'all have to do this. Go back to the end of Ant-Man Quantumania. Do y'all remember? Because I know this was weird for me too. Do y'all remember at the end of Ant-Man how we were sitting here saying, man, this ending feels weird? And Ant-Man said the same thing. Ant-Man was sitting here like, man, something is weird. When he came back, he thought it was Kang. He was like, did we defeat Kang? Is he gone for good? We don't know. And then the screen went up to his face and then it cut off. I think we just saw the effects of Loki Who Remains at the end of Ant-Man. Now, why does that make sense potentially? Because Ant-Man was in the quantum realm, and the quantum realm, you're outside of time. So again, if Loki changed the 616, unless you're in the 616, you would not notice. But Ant-Man was outside of the 616 because he was in the quantum realm where time is very different. It's a whole different dimension. So it's possible that after defeating Kang and coming back into a new timeline from the quantum realm, the reason why Scott Lang felt like things were different is because maybe Loki already changed some stuff. Just thinking. I'm just thinking. Because again, Loki affects everything from past, present, and future. And don't forget, Loki took place during Endgame. Ant-Man took place much later after Endgame. So people won't be feeling those effects, or we might not notice them until later. Anyway, I know this is a little heady. It's a little confusing. My head hurt. I'm hungry. Guys, I'm sorry if I made it more confusing. I don't know. Do y'all think Loki has already affected the 616 and we just have to catch up? Maybe. But I don't think Kang is still in control. I think right now Loki's in control of this timeline. But whatever the Kangs are doing outside of here, they're doing their own thing. So the Kangs are outside the multiverse, but the main tree, the 616 and all the other ones, they're fine because they're under Loki. My head hurt. I'm sorry. I don't know. I can't do it no more. I can't. It's too late to drink coffee. Shay, what you got? No, he told his plan. He was tired, wanted Loki to become the new He Who Remains. Loki's still following the plan, just with free will. Immortus wins. I think, sure. Yeah. I mean, The question though is, even though he wanted him to become the new He Who Remains, does he want them there forever? Because I think a good question that kind of got brought up earlier is, how long can Loki do this? I know he's a god. I know he can last for a long time, but like, yo, it looked like, look at what it did to He Who Remains. And he's just a regular guy. He looked like he was crazy. How long is Loki gonna be there? Now I saw some people saying Avenger Prime and all that. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. Marvel finna sit here and let Tom Hiddleston stay there at the end of time, getting old, and just be there. Ain't no way. Okay. We're gonna have to bring Tom Hiddleston back some way, somehow. I don't know how. Maybe he gets a clone of himself, a variant. I don't know. But I know in the comics, King Loki does have a young Loki, kid Loki version. So maybe they do that. But you're not about to let Tom Hiddleston sit there forever. Like, y'all gonna have to fix that some way, somehow. But I do think that this is temporary. I don't think that Loki's gonna be able to last for however long it is. Maybe it is 5,000 years, but at some point, Loki's gonna be like, I'm done with this. I can't. Or he starts to lose his mind. And can y'all imagine what this is gonna be like if Thor ever gets to meet him and find out what Loki's been doing? I ain't gonna lie, I'm gonna get a little emotional. I will get a little emotional if Thor meets his brother and they get all sad, and and he's like, "Oh my god, Loki, like, you are a king. Oh man, Loki, you really are a god. Oh man," like, Thor meeting up with Loki, yo, talk about a payoff. And you're talking about two wildly different people now. That's a reunion I need to see. I need to, before Chris Hemsworth hangs it up, I need to see Thor and Loki come together, be cool, no backstabbing, no turning into snakes, and just have some good, just some brotherly love. I want to see it. I want to see it. If you're new here and you like what you see, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell so you don't miss out the next time I drop a video. I've got more videos and reviews to do for you all, and until next time, I'll see you all later.